So two more components we got to address on this left side of the bike here. One on the Shadow is your electric fan wire. Morning everybody, welcome back. Saturday in the shop. I do not have a lot of time today. I have to go drop a bike off in Orlando, a few hours north of here. So it's going to be a quick one. We're going to get back. This is going to be stage 2, episode 2 of how to wire your custom Honda Shadow. Just going to get a few little things done because I don't have a lot of time. So I wanted to do something today. I didn't want to miss completely our video for the week. I know a lot of people are been asking about when the second video is going to come out, so here it is. It's gonna, like I said, it's going to be a little bit of a short one, but we'll get a couple of things done. Maybe this will end up being 3 parts because the next video, if we have some more time, I'll be able to get a lot more stuff complete. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, we're gonna just get to work. Alright guys, so today we're gonna look at our charging system. So if you're not familiar the way a charging system works, underneath your cover here you've got a stator and a rotor. The stator is the copper windings, the rotor is a big magnet. When it spins, they produce an electronic field and they put out AC power. You might say AC power, that doesn't make any sense because motorcycles are DC. Correct. So once that AC power is produced, you need a rectifier and a regulator. So the rectifier converts the voltage from AC voltage to DC voltage, and the regulator regulates that voltage down to around 14 volts so that you don't smoke your system. So I like these little tiny voltage regulators, especially when we're trying to hide stuff. So that's what we've got here. Normally we put them in the battery box or whatever, but I actually think if I can get this positioned for you here, right, let's see. Okay, yeah, so this is our Coors Light battery box right here, and then we have it rubber mounted, and there's some screws holding the rubber mount in. If I can get this positioned, get my hand out of the way, right under here, which is kind of hard to see, but anyway. So I think I'm going to bolt it under there because that'll let it come and live right about here. Probably put it like this. It'll get it in the breeze a little bit more for cooling and whatnot, and give us easy access to wire it. My other option is, oh, you know what, I think I like this better. I can actually just slip it underneath there and double-sided tape it to our mounting plate. So that's what I'm going to do with that. Not that where it's mounted is very important. You can mount it wherever you want. So we're talking about wiring more than installation of components. So with this comes a plug. I don't love these plugs. I wish they were insulated, but they're not. So anyway, this is what you get. You've got, it's a 5-wire system. It's a 3-phase permanent magnet charging system on these bikes. You've got 3 yellow wires, which correspond to the 3 yellow wires coming out of your engine, which on the Honda Shadow come out the top of the cover right here and then route back towards the back of the bike. Also with that is your oil pressure dummy light wire and your ground signal from your neutral indicator for your neutral dummy light. Normally I don't run any of this stuff and we just yank these wires off, but I did actually put a neutral indicator light on this bike because there was an extra hole in the triple tree, and so I just wanted to put something in there, so I put a little green jeweled indicator light I'll show that here later on. So we are going to need that wire to be wired up. So this is all of our wires that we've previously done. Just try and keep this stuff out of the way for now, because we're not going to be messing with that today. This is going to end up right underneath here with our wire coming out. So this is a real simple system. You've got your factory plug, but we don't work with factory stuff here too much because we're building choppers. So we're going to go ahead and cut that off. Split back some of your insulation, which is just a little bit of plastic tubing. And you have the 3 yellow wires. Now what's good about this is the 3 yellow wires make no difference. So you put one of these to one of each of the ones on the plug. Doesn't matter which one. And you've got your wiring. So we know we're going to mount this right around here. So I'm going to pull these wires in. Then I'm going to pull this kind of right here where we know we're going to want it, and cut these off to the length we want. Pull this out here for ease of access. And strip all these wires and get ready to solder them. I will mention that sometimes soldering these factory stator wires can be a little tricky if they're old and real gross and dirty. Sometimes I just take a little sandpaper and try and sand them. Sometimes you need to add a little flux. These look pretty decent. This bike isn't super old. This is our little propane soldering iron, or butane rather. I think it's a Weller brand. These are really nice. I'll put a link in the description to this if you want one. They used to be real expensive. They've come down in price now. But obviously you can use any soldering iron you have. It doesn't need to be anything special. The cheap ones from Harbor Freight for like $5 will get the job done. So if you don't know how to solder, which I'm imagining most people do, it's not really very hard. The key is you want to get the wire hot before you start melting the solder into it. And you want the wire to be hot enough to melt the solder, and that lets the solder flow into it. You don't really just want to melt it all over the tip of your soldering iron, because it doesn't really go where you want. So, you know, I'll check my soldering iron, make sure it's hot, and then you just flow some solder into the wire. This is called tinning the wires. So I like to load my wires up with solder both sides before I try and put them together. And I'll show you why here in a minute. So we're going to go ahead and tin up our wires on our harness from our regulator. Alright, so we got our wires all tinned. I'm going to grab some heat shrink so we can insulate these wires after we connect them. And then we're going to slide some loom over it. I can't remember if I talked about this last week or not, but I found this fabric looking insulation or loom, whatever you want to call it. It's really cool. It's heat shrink. So I was able to locate a supplier for this. We're going to be offering this on the website with all of our other wiring components. It's just really a cool look. I think it's a nice addition. Looks nice and clean. And so anyway, that will be coming here soon as it arrives. It's been ordered and it's on the way. So little plug there for the website, gattisgarage.bigcartel.com. All of the stuff that I'm using to do these wiring jobs, or this wiring job rather, is going to be available through us, so you know you're getting the stuff that does a good job that we like to use. So anyway, If you need wiring supplies, we got you covered. So we got our plug, and like I said, which wire goes to which makes no difference. So we're just going to come here. You just want to reheat your wire, or yeah, reheat your wire where you had your solder tinned on it. And try not to move it until after the solder cools. Alright, so we got those three soldered. We're going to slide our heat shrink down over them now. And then we're going to slide our fabric loom down and get this shrunk. When you're doing these big pieces like this, honestly a heat gun works better, but I'm too lazy to get up and get it, so we're gonna just do it with the torch. It takes a little bit long, but it will get the job done. This is probably a little bit too big also of material. I would have went with the next size down, but I only got a sample of this stuff from the vendor, so I only have one size. Once all the other actual once the actual order comes in, I'll have this in 3 different sizes, so we would select the appropriate size for what we were trying to cover, and it would shrink down more quickly and a little bit nicer because it's the size we need. So anyway, if you don't like the cloth looking heat shrink loom, there's also like some nylon mesh loom we use. There is spiral loom, which is more of like a shiny plastic, which looks okay. Please God, don't use that corrugated crinkle looking split loom from like 1983 or whenever that shit was popular, that comes in all kinds of colors. That stuff just sucks. It looks terrible. It makes your bike look terrible, and it doesn't even cover the wires good ever. So anyway, we're going to put this back in the factory little clip here because it holds it. If I could get it in there. This clip is loose because I was doing something with this engine cover. But anyway, so this is going to go through here now, right over to where our regulator is going to go. And then you've got a green and a red wire, and that is going to be to your battery positive and your battery negative. I mean, this is that simple. So that's gonna go through a hole in the bottom of the battery box that we still have to make. Once we pop I'm gonna pop the battery box out of the bike. I'll make the holes for the wires to go through it. So I'll go ahead and get these extended now. We're gonna just repeat the same process as earlier. Little solder, put our wire on there. Alright, so we got our 2 little extension wires, a red and a black. You could do a red and a green if you want to match the wires on the regulator, but for me green is kind of a ground in the house wiring, and red and black is always for automobile type use or motorcycle type use or what have you. So we got those 2 wires tinned up. I'm going to tin up our wires on our plug. Alright, so we got those 2 wires connected. We're going to heat shrink them, loom them, and then label them so that we can remember what the heck we got going on here when we go to do all of our termination of wires once we got all these pre-assemblies done. Alright, so we got that all shrunk down. Alright everybody, gonna interrupt the video here and try and get some quick information out there. The giveaway is back. We have tried twice now. This is our third and gonna be our final attempt to get people excited about literally signing up to win a motorcycle for free. You don't have to spend any money. You just have to send an email and subscribe to our channel. I don't mean to talk to you like you're stupid, but this is so simple. I cannot understand how this is so difficult to do. The point of this is obviously for us to build our channel. Us building our channel helps us be successful. Therefore, the payoff of us giving away a motorcycle that we spent a bunch of time and money on is worthwhile. So, send your email, GattisGarageGiveaway.com. Be sure you're subscribed to the channel. And you don't have to, but if you want to actually win it, share this information with all your friends. We have 4,700 plus subscribers right now. If everybody gets one person to subscribe to the channel, we'll hit the number in like a day or 2 days, and the bike will go to its new home, which would be super cool for us. This is a simple thing, and I am just completely dumbfounded at the fact that we can't get people to do this. So, help me help you. I think that was Jerry Maguire. But anyway, we want to give the bike away. It'll be an awesome thing. It's a good feeling doing something nice for somebody. But yeah, we do have to get something out of it. We can't just build motorcycles for free and give them away. We'd be out of business quick if we weren't getting some return on our investment. So for us, the return on our investment is building the channel into a success. So please do this. And we're going to get back to our regular video. Alright, so we got that all shrunk down. Wires are covered and looking good. Next up, we're going to just label these so we don't forget what they are. So the red one is going to be battery power. If you're using this heat shrink label stuff, sometimes it's a pain to get it on the end of the wire. If you cut your wire on an angle, it'll give you like a little point to kind of get in there sometimes, but it helps if you can see good too, and I'm struggling with these glasses, so we'll plug our harness in. This is going to end up mounted up underneath here. Probably tuck it in kinda, and then these wires are going to end up in the battery box once we get our holes in there for our wiring. And that is your complete charging system wired up, obviously minus those two ends got to connect to the battery. It's that simple. So don't get intimidated by wiring your bike like I know so many people seem to do. One component at a time makes it really, really easy. And that's all you got to do, is just stick with the one component at a time, and you'll get through it, and it'll work perfectly. It'll be super simplified, and you'll be able to feel confident in your bike not having electrical problems. So 2 more components we got to address on this left side of the bike here. One on the Shadow is your electric fan wire. It's a 2-wire connection, positive and a ground. There's heat sensor or temperature sensor in the radiator, and all that stuff is kind of pre-wired. If you don't cut up the main wiring on the radiator, you'll have a plug here which we're going to cut off, and then you just need a positive and a ground run into that. The positive goes directly to the fan motor, and the ground runs through the temp switch, so that when it gets up to temperature, the ground kicks in and your fan comes on. So real simple deal. Again, 2 wires. So we'll cut this off. You do need to determine which wire is which is a little bit tricky because they're both black. So once you cut it off, they're loomed separately. If you just kind of fish them out a little bit, you can figure out that one of them is the ground wire and the other one runs to the fan motor. So if you fish them out of here, just untwist them, and I don't know that they're all like this, but the top one on this bike, which is zip tied, which looks like it's zip tied from the factory, is the ground. So just do something to mark that one. Like, I'm going to just go ahead right now and strip the ground, so that now I know the ground wire is the stripped wire. And then we'll put it back. We'll bend this little tab back. We'll pull these wires back through here. I'm going to stuff them down low and end up running them along this bottom frame rail. If I can, let me see, zoom the camera. Yeah, so I'm going to run them along this bottom frame rail inside, and probably zip tie them to the water hose, and then I'll bring them up through here where like your oil pressure light wire and your neutral light wire come, to get them back into the back of the bike where we need them. So we know we got our ground right there, so I'll go ahead and start with that, since that's the one that's already stripped. It'll be easy to identify, and we're just going to repeat our process. Again, this is literally, you're doing really 2 things. You're identifying wires, you're soldering, heat shrinking, and labeling and routing towards your central location on your bike where all your wiring is going to terminate. You know, on this bike it's going to be at the battery box. You may be doing something different as far as the location of your stuff, but the principles do not change. Alright, so we got our iron all warmed up. We are going to get our wires extended here. Alright guys, so we got those wires routed over here. They're going to come and get tucked in with our other wiring so that the sprocket doesn't get them. Let's see if I can get them into this tab, which is kind of tight. Okay, there's one. Alright, so those are going to end up over here, and they'll go into the clip. And then now we just need to figure out which one of these 2 wires is our neutral safety switch wire. So I got our multimeter. This is the easiest way to do this. We're going to get it on continuity, and we'll put one side to ground, if we can find a ground, and then make sure we're in neutral. So try not to be an idiot like me, and make sure you got a good point to hook your ground before you, oh, maybe on this kickstand. Alright, so this is not working how I anticipated it would. Let's try this. I'm going to pull the wire off the switch, see if I can see what color it is. I could also look on the diagram, but I just don't have one handy. Okay, it's the green wire. So, now the question is, why is that not giving us our signal? I thought it was the green wire. And that should be giving us continuity to ground, so that the light would light up, and it's not. So, alright, let's check the wire, make sure the wire's good. I guess this is the stuff that starts to scare people on wiring. When it doesn't work how you expect, maybe people get lost. So, okay, so we know our wire is good. So now we're gonna, let's see if I can just clip right to the switch. Maybe the switch is just no good and we'll have to get a new switch, which is not the end of the world. They screw right into the case. Okay, so I know I got a good ground continuity. We're clipped right to the motor. So I think our neutral switch is bad. So not a big deal. We can still keep doing what we're doing. I'm going to go ahead and clip off the blue wire. We don't need that. That's our oil pressure dummy light wire. So we'll get rid of that. We'll get a new neutral switch. No big deal. And we just need to have this wire running with the rest of our wires back here to our electrical box, which actually looks long enough so we don't even need to extend that or anything. So that's handy. So all this stuff is going to end up getting tied here. The last thing we need to do is label our fan wire. So we got one ground. Alright, and then we got our neutral light. We'll go ahead and put a label on that too, even though it's kind of obvious what it is, but it's obvious to us right now while we're working, and next week or 2 weeks from now it probably won't be. So I like to wire or label everything just because there's no telling when the next time I might get to work on this is. Alright, so there we go. That gives us all of our wiring. Well, we gotta insulate these still. So let me get a little piece of our insulation, or not insulation, but loom. Alright guys, so we have got all of our engine left side stuff wired. We got our fan, all the wires pulled back to close to our termination point. We've got our neutral safety wiring all done. Obviously we need to get a new switch, and we've got our stator all wired in to the voltage regulator, and we have our voltage regulator wires wired and loomed to terminate at the battery. So like I said, today was going to be a short day. I'm headed out of town, and but again, single components. Think about the wiring as a single component. Don't worry about, oh my god, it's 100 things to wire. Nope, it's one thing to wire over and over again. So when you look at it that way, it makes it a lot easier to wrap your head around. And you know, if you take your time with it, do one thing every day, in a week you'll have it done. So Like I said, all the stuff we're using, some of it's available now, some of it's going to be available very soon. We're waiting on shipments of stuff, so you can use all the same stuff we're using and get your job done nice and clean. Alright guys, that's a wrap. We're out of here. We're headed north. Appreciate you guys following along. I hope this is informative enough to help you guys that are unsure on the wiring. In the beginning I thought maybe one more video, but now I'm kind of thinking two. I want to break them up into smaller pieces so people can kind of follow along and digest. Don't forget, this bike we're wiring could be yours. And please check out gattisgarage.bigcartel.com. We're adding stuff literally daily. Lots of wiring stuff is either in stock now or coming very soon, along with all our other hard parts for Shadows. We've been adding a bunch of Rebel stuff. We got V-Star stuff, a little bit of Harley stuff. So please check that out. Happy to hear some feedback. Love to know what you guys think about it. And that's it. We're out of here, and we hope to see you next time at Gattis Garage.